but thanks for listening. Yeah. Greetings, everybody, and welcome to We Say Things, episode 63 with Suns fan and Cinderella.
Did you just cut out?
No.
Okay.
How are you? How was your
Good.
week?
It was fine, I think.
Great. How's your dog?
Fun.
We haven't talked about your dog. I know people love personal info from both of us.
Yeah.
Especially you.
My dog is very nice. He actually had his first full day of his life without my girlfriend and I this Sunday because we took him to a dog hotel or whatever you call that for a bit more than 24 hours because we went on a tiny spa vacation, which was very nice.
Ooh.
So that was also my first time trying that.
Okay, I need to hear this story.
Cool.
Give me all the deets.
I mean, what deets are there? It's a really nice place. It was like a place that had spa and golfing. We got spa access with what we booked, but we didn't get any like massage or whatever. We didn't want to pay or book that. So we just, went to the spa, had a nice time, had some food.
All right,
went outside.
All right, hold on a second. What does that mean? You didn't get a massage, then what is the spa? Jacuzzi or something?
Yeah, so like think of like a swimming hall, but then instead of it being a swimming hall, there's like different types of baths basically that you could go to, like a salt heavy one, a cooler one, sauna, jacuzzi, these kind of things. And then you just have like free access for 3 hours and you go to whatever you want. It was very nice.
How do you not get a massage? How? It's required. I feel like that's part of the package.
Why is that required?
The main reason I would do that is to
Shannon,
get the
my
massage.
dog is doing great. Thanks for asking.
Okay,
he's a very
great.
good boy. He's a very, very good boy. And I think right now he's lying downstairs and sleeping a little
He's
bit.
a good boy, but you're not for not getting a massage. Anyway, thanks to our amazing patrons in the In Bruges tier that support this show every single week. Cinder, would you like to take the first half this time around?
Of course I would. Who is that? Okay, so first up is Jimpson Juice. I pinched the tip of my penis to enter Ultra Instinct. He's still there. That's good to know. Bacon. No, not that bacon. The other bacon. Lick. Puco. Tickles. Houston Adamo. Shark TM. Hoey 988. Guy with too many arms. Freshly seasoned goat balls. Change will happen. Poop Feast 420. And Hugh G. Rection. You got the rest.
And the rest, Ben Broomhead has a broomhead. Ben Jackson is superior. My boy Dop. Coham to Uchuche. Yay. Fane. Underscore man. Ben Jackson is a liar. Don't listen to him. Ben Broomhead is super chill and very cool. Pitch Black. Fellowship of the Ping. DG. Terry Tip. Wooden Aftertaste. Dun Talk. The Coward. Dyslexic Lawyer. Anonymous. And Ronnie Keel. Thank you guys so much for supporting, as we talked about. Cinderin?
Yes. Thank you.
You know the number one request that we have on the show every week in the comments?
I don't.
The rave review of every single piece of NBA news to hit your weekly We Say Things podcast. We got more for you.
Definitely a lie.
I do get a couple people, and they outweigh the tens of people that hate it. So, like I was saying last week, the scrimmages have begun, and the quote-unquote regular season will conclude and then end in the next couple weeks here. One interesting thing that they have going on, of course, everybody's in this Orlando bubble, Cinderin. They're all in like a gym, 2 teams at a time, obviously. And right now they have like screens that are just covering everything that you see. Like, it's like in a semicircle, right? For basically where the camera is actually facing. So they're partnering with Microsoft Teams, because right now during the scrimmages, Cinder, it's just pictures of the logos of the teams. There's nothing special. But when the regular season starts, which is in a couple days, they're partnering with Microsoft Teams to virtually seat fans courtside. So it's going to be a bunch of webcams of random people watching the game. What do you think of this? That is hilarious.
Okay, I mean, I want to take a different angle. How many dicks do you think are going to be on TV?
That's true. Like, how do you prevent that?
So you can, I mean, I guess there's a couple of things they can do. But if they have, like, let's say you have 10,000 cameras, right?
Which
somebody needs to manually somebody needs to manually check. You put them on delay, right? So you have time to monitor what people do before it shows on screen.
Mm-hmm.
But you'd have to manually check all of them to make sure nobody does something inappropriate.
Right.
So I can say this from firsthand experience, right? So when we did, I don't know if I've told you this story. When we did Danish TV, we did a Dota tournament on Danish TV, and we had a segment where we had a Snapchat with the viewers. So it would show up live on screen, and people could send in Snapchats, and we were always like, "Hey, send us a snap with how you're watching the show, or with a question, or something cool from Dota, whatever it is." And then at some point, somebody just Snapchat us a dick pic, and it went live on TV. And it was so funny because the preview monitor was far enough away that I couldn't see what it was before they already clicked it away. So I just like squinted and I was like, wait, what? And the other ones clearly saw what it was, the other two co-hosts. So they were having a huge laugh.
That's awesome.
And then it went on like a Danish night show, which was also by the same TV channel. It went on there and they thought it was absolutely hilarious. And they ran with that. So after that, we had to pre-monitor them, obviously. But that was very small scale. Now this one is going to be, I don't know, absurd, right? Like if you have, I don't know how many they're expecting to have.
I think, let me see if it said in the article or not. It's not thousands.
More than 300. More than 300 fans.
Yeah.
Okay, it says here.
Which is, we'll see. Technically manageable.
It's a cool idea with technology. Yeah. So maybe it'll be cool. Who knows?
But imagine being that guy that has to filter it out. Just like instead of watching the game, you're going to be watching 300 webcams.
Yeah.
What kind of a terrible job is that?
If it's 300, it's manageable with a decent.
Well, it's manageable, people, but it's also miserable. But that's
sure. But yeah, my perspective from before was how do you do it? But if it's 300, you can handle that with a couple people, I guess.
So that's going to be next week. I believe by then the games will have already started, so I'll be able to comment on what they look like. But one other thing,
do you pay for this?
Do you pay? Oh, to be a fan on there? I don't know.
Yeah. Or is it just random? Like, is somebody randomly selected?
No clue.
Or do you apply?
Couldn't tell you.
And then they get like a nice, it's like you apply to be on a TV show and they get like a nice representation.
I mean, I'm sure there'd be plenty of people that want to pay to be on TV. So it's not like being in the stands for the NBA. It's going to be bigger than that, I believe, or more noticeable at the very least. And it's great because your signs won't actually get in anybody's way. I always hated that with one of the games.
Yeah, you just block your own view.
That's true. One other piece of news from the NBA bubble, which I found hilarious. So there's been kind of some speculation on whether, like, the players aren't technically locked in this area. They're technically free to leave, but if they do, it's against the rules. Does that make sense? So they're not imprisoned, but if they leave, then they have to re-quarantine, and it just fucks everything up, right? They're taking it very seriously. Yeah. So one guy got back into the quarantine now because he went outside of the bubble to get his food. Okay, that was the first guy. But the more hilarious one, and this is one that's made a lot of news, this guy named Lou Williams, part of the Clippers, apparently went to a fucking strip club. And now it's news. It's like front page news for the NBA. And now he has to re-quarantine. He's going to be investigated on why the fuck he's at a strip club during the lockdown.
It's funny to hear those stories because sometimes when we think about Dota, we're like, man, sometimes players do really stupid shit. Like, why would you do that? And then you just remember, well, it happens everywhere. Like, there's just dumb stuff being like, just dumb decisions, Like, why would you ever do that? Like, it's just incredible.
The funny thing is, he's not even a young player either. He's a veteran. He's been in the league a long time. So
well, maybe he knows his way around the strip club scene, and he was like, "This one's too good to pass up on. I know all of them." And this
he does have a reputation, actually.
Okay,
he may or may not be a sex addict as well. That's my theory, at least.
That is true. It could be like a health thing, to be honest. Like if he actually can't stop himself, then it's obviously quite a big problem. Then you should have probably cleared that before you went into this. Found a solution for that instead of just gambling that. No, I'll handle it this time. When I'm stuck inside a basketball arena. And
it's not even, it's not some random player. It's actually a really important player for a contending team. So he could actually fuck things up real bad if he continues that behavior. But anyway, on to the episode itself. We have a lot of topics, but none of them are like, I guess this is probably the biggest news here. Seb has returned to OG and has replaced Sumail, who is no longer on the team.
Yes.
Thoughts, Cinderin?
I don't know. It's like it's hard to say because we've talked. I feel like we've talked about this team before a couple of times on this podcast with how I interpret like their infrastructure and what's really unique and strong about them. And to me, Seb plays an absolutely key role that he can play partially, I think, as a coach, but not fully. And I think it just comes down to, from his perspective, what he wants the most. Like it's motivation driven. He felt like he wanted to take a break. It was indefinite and now he feels the drive to play again. And I think that team will do what they can to get him back on the active roster because he is a huge piece in how their team works both in and out of game. That's the way it seems based on what I know about him, what I know about No Tail, conversations I've had, and stuff we've seen in True Sight, right? So honestly, I can't say it's too surprising that if Seb wants to come back, they'll make it happen. But I think the big shame here is that Sumail didn't get to play a big tournament with OG. It would have been cool to see, right? Because people obviously speculate. Some people are probably thinking, Sumail was too full of himself, so they wanted to get rid of him because, you know, they're the master team. They've won 2 TIs. I don't think...
Oh, hello? Cinderin? Can you hear me? Oh, dear. All right, we're back as Cinderin. We're going to blame this on Cinderin.
We just stopped having audio for some reason. The server just disconnected.
Yeah, that was strange.
That was very interesting.
I was literally watching Cinderin talk for a good minute and a half to himself.
Yeah.
But continue with your amazing thoughts, Cinderin.
Yeah. Okay. I'll try to. It's always hard to tell it the second time, but like basically, you know, people will be speculating about different things. One of the narratives I've read is that Sumail is too full of himself or whatever, and OG couldn't deal with that because they're, you know, 2-time TI champs. I don't really think it's something like that. Just think you're a team like OG. One of your backbones wants to take a break. You obviously respect it. He gets the drive back. He wants to come back. I think Seb is a huge part of everything this team has accomplished, and especially his partnership with No Tail and how they run this team. So I think you just try to make that happen. Obviously, the shame here is that Sumail didn't really get to play a big tournament with the team. I think that would have been good to see. But yeah, what the deeper reasons are, who knows? Like, it could be something as simple as Seb wants to come back. We really want to make that happen. Or maybe it was a bad fit. Maybe Sumail didn't fit so well with the team personally, in terms of communication, play style. There's a lot of complexity to stuff like this. But I think also based on the way they announced this, I think it's more of like a positive outlook for OG that they just really want to get Seb back. And they look at what makes most sense for their roster. And I'm assuming based on that, they think mid-1 is a better fit than Sumail for what they're trying to do. Because Sumail can also play carry, right? We've seen that.
But right. Well, there's also speculation about the fact that, I mean, I believe Sumail's still in the U.S. Am I wrong in that?
Probably. No, I think he is.
And people in the U.S. just can't leave because of the corona situation. So that may have played... I feel like if that played more of a role, they would have mentioned that in the post.
Probably, yeah.
Right? I feel like that's something you would say.
Because mid-1 was playing with the worst ping of the whole team from Malaysia, right? And then he's at boot camp now with OG. So they're together now. But yeah, I don't know. Don't know. Either way, like, cool to see Seb back. He's a great dude. He's really good at the game. He's very articulate. So I think he's a good character to have. And I think he'll help OG back on track. There's something special about this team that makes it feel like the sum is so much greater than its parts, right? It's like whenever they lose one link, the team just feels so different. And they've still lost a link in Ana, so we'll see how it works with mid-1 as the only one out. But every time they've lost a link, it's just been a very different team. And it's very interesting to think about Dota as a game, that even the best team in the world in 2 of the biggest tournaments can fall with minor adjustments. Things can just get a lot worse. So it's very interesting.
All right, let's talk about it from 2 perspectives now. So let's start with OG.
Okay.
Do you think Jerax and Ana come back before the next?
Oh yeah, Jerax too. Wow, I only said Ana. Yeah, they're still missing pieces. They're missing 2 pieces still. I don't know why I only was thinking Ana.
So for me, Jerax's retirement felt super finalized. The Seb thing, like from the beginning, I think we even mentioned this. Like I said, I wouldn't be surprised if he comes back because he's venturing into a new thing. He wanted to do the whole, get a Counter-Strike team, maybe mentor them a bit. But you never know if that's going to work out or if that's even something that you're going to like doing. I'm sure he did like it, but still, that drive to be the Dota player and whatnot. Jerax has felt really finalized to me. Like that one, I would actually be surprised if he comes back. Anna, on the other hand, can come back anytime. Who the fuck knows what's going on with him?
No, Anna can't come back anytime. He can come back
a month before
to 3 months before TI.
Okay. Yeah.
I don't think before that. That's
so mid one's going to get screwed, is what you're saying. Soxa's in a good spot.
He needs to collect his paycheck so he can go play poker, and then he can disappear again for a year after TI.
Right.
Now, Jerax also made a post, actually. He responded. He made a post on Reddit talking about like how it's been a really great decision for him to step back, how he's discovered a lot of stuff about himself personally, and like he really needed that, where Dota played like a different role in his life. And just based on that wording, he was like celebrating and supporting Seven, was like, it's great, let's go. But also kind of clearing up that it kind of sounded like a post he made because he didn't want pressure and he didn't want people to have false expectations and hope that he comes back, and then they just get disappointed that the OG squad won't be back. Because I think for now, the Jerax thing is probably just not happening. And yeah, we've talked about that in the previous episode, actually. Jerax's exit and how that can be a very good thing for someone to do, even after you've won twice. It might be hard to understand for people that dream of playing on this stage, but it's very very personal thing.
So from OG's side, I mean, we didn't really get to see them at full strength, especially considering the internet issues, if you want to call it that, the regional issues. So now that Seb is in hand, they have, is Soxa at the boot camp as well? I mean, I know he lives in Europe.
I think so. I think they're all there.
So that team on paper, obviously extremely good. Mid one, a little bit of a transition to position one. Do you think that they are going to be the favorites? I mean, obviously Secret is the one to beat right now. Do you think it's going to take them a little more time because of that transition change with mid one, or is it going to be a little more seamless? Because he's the only one now that's in a slightly different position than he's used to. Before it was Sumail as 3, which obviously was weird on paper. What do you think going forward for this team?
I think they're going to be really good, obviously. It's always, the thing with OG is that you're always going to be comparing them against themselves at TI top form. And I don't know if you ever see that top form outside of TI for this team. It's just something about that event that really makes them go all in. So I think, like, their true potential, you kind of have to wait for a while. It's not to say that these online tournaments don't matter, but I would just say experience shows that OG just aren't playing on the same level as they are at TI. And I think that will probably make it hard for them to be favorites because you have a team like Secret who play arguably their best outside of TI, at least historically. The gap there is something they have to close. But as far as Mid-One's ability to play carry, I think Mid-One can play every role. I think he's super good at the game. I think he has great game understanding, communication, shot calling, everything. So it's just a matter of how little worse is he at it than his best role. I think that's the way I want to look at it. Like, can he play 95% carry of his mid or something like that? And he has played some of his mid heroes in side lanes. That was one of the things Secret took a lot of advantage of when they had mid one, was swapping players around on the roles or on the lanes. So he's definitely comfortable with playing the map in different ways. I think he's going to be completely fine.
Okay. And what about Sumail? I wouldn't say
no idea.
He's not damaged goods.
No.
He's not gotten to that point at all. Obviously, he's still young. There's always been questions about his personality clash potentially with teammates. Him and PPD clashed. I mean, that, again, it's PPD, so take that with a grain of salt, no pun intended. What does he do? Because NA teams right now, he tried making it work with his brother, with the Quincy crew, right? Didn't work out for, I don't know what we still don't know what reason. It could have been contract related, but didn't seem to be, because OG got Sumail. Maybe they bought him out. That's a really expensive temporary player if that's the case.
Yeah.
What does he do now? I mean, he has plenty of time, but does he try to squeeze into a current roster or try to create his own team of random NA people? Does he move to another country if he can even get out of the country, try to play?
The least likely thing is that he makes a team with other NA people that are like up and coming. I don't think Sumail is the kind of player who would do that. I think he will very much look toward playing for a top team, such as what he did with OG. And I don't think I don't think Sumail has any reason to be worried about his name. Like, especially because, yeah, you got replaced out of OG, but let's look at the bigger picture. You got replaced for one of the players that won TI twice with this team and that people know is integral to the team. You got replaced during Corona, and you got replaced without playing a major online tournament. So it's not like you've shown very poor performance in high pressure matches or something like that. So if you want to look at stock, I think, I don't know, I wouldn't really rate him any lower than I did before. I think he's still a super good player. As far as the personality things, I haven't been there, so I can't really say that. But I would say that what it seems like with Sumail is that he's matured a lot. It's what happens to a lot of these young players. They can mature really quickly because of how fast things move, right? So I don't know. I think the most likely thing is probably that he plays for one of the top NA teams, and there's probably some people shaking a little bit there. Like Quincy Crew, are they trying to get him on carry or mid? Or what about Four Zoomers? Does he want to play with that team?
The team that makes the most sense is Business Associates. So it's Fear.
Yeah, Business Associates as well. Yeah.
I'm looking at their current roster because I wasn't up to date. Obviously, Brax, my boy, position 3. Moo is playing position 1, and Fear position 5. Those are the 3 quote unquote solidified. I don't know who the other 2 are right now. Right. They've made some changes. So in theory, their mid lane is available. Yeah. I would be shocked if they're not.
It's possible.
That would be pretty cool.
I think it comes down to what Sumail's perspective is right now. If he just really wants to play or if he wants to wait for the right thing. And that's a dilemma a lot of pros are in across the years, where you get off a good team, you look at the perspectives that are there. Maybe there's a team you can join but don't really want to, and there's a team you really want to join but don't get invited to. And then you're like, okay, should I just wait until things shake up again in X months and just lie low?
Is EE actually on that lineup? That's what the chat's saying right now. Is he mid right now for them? If he is,
I think he is, yeah.
I mean, would you? I would instantly swap. No offense to Eternal Envy, but that's an instant swap for me.
It's two things, though, right? It's what he wants and it's what they want, right?
Envy could play position 1.
Yeah.
That's what
I still think it's his best role.
That was his best role historically with Secret. Yeah. That's the best he's played, is on position 1.
And then Moo to offlane. It is possible.
Moo back to offlane, the God on Timbersaw. Yeah. That would be really interesting. Okay, we'll see.
It's possible.
Okay, next thing. Prizepool is now at $30 million, Cinderin, so we're only about 4 or 5 away from matching last year's, and we have a lot of time to go. On this outline, I have put a note for myself to list things to be released that we can talk about. I never did that, so we're going to go off of memory. We have the Windrunner Arcana. We have the Pudge Persona. We have the announcer guy thingy. And what else? The collector, or the Immortals 3, obviously, is still a ways away since 2 came out. And is that it? Anything major off the top of your head? That might be it.
I think that might be it.
We got a majority of it.
Something I want to point out that's interesting about these graphs, right, is that when you look at the graph for how the prize pool rises, you always know there's going to be like these big boosts when the weekend offer comes out or when one of the Arcanas come out or whatever. But Treasure 2 barely made it move, actually. It had like a tiny bump, but it's still overall just on the same logarithmic progression here, which is kind of interesting because it means that people don't really specifically very much, at least, buy levels with the purpose of getting the treasure that they want. But the people that want something from the treasure will mostly have had enough already. And then if it's an ultra rare thereafter, it's like probably a small minority that keep leveling up in the hope of getting that ultra rare, but it doesn't seem to be like a very common trend. If you compare it to any of the other big releases where it like spiked like hard.
I think Immortals 3 will have more of a bump just because you don't have as many to work with. So like I haven't looked at how many I actually have, so this might be bullshit. But for Immortals 2, I'm like level 180. I got the exact amount needed to open the guaranteed ones. So I imagine for 3 that is not the case. I could be wrong, but is anything?
I got the Ursa, by the way. Just wanted to let you know.
And how many chests?
37, I think.
Oh, well, 37.
It was lucky.
It's
lucky. It's definitely lucky.
Yeah, Neil opened 62, I believe, and did not get the Ursa.
Yeah. I don't even think that's unlucky either. I don't remember what the odds are when you're up to 60. It might still be like 10% or something. Yeah. So
that's insane. It is a good set, though. Not going to lie. Really, really good.
Yeah.
Love the little baby.
I love it very much, Shannon. I love that you don't have it.
I don't really care. That one doesn't bother me. I don't play enough Ursa to really give a shit. If it was a centaur and he had a baby rhinoceros on his back for whatever reason, then I'd be very upset. I might have to upgrade my companion.
Baby rhinoceros.
I don't know, a little baby horse, just like a literal horse head growing out of the back of his neck. That would be okay. I would pay so much
right now. I'm just picturing a centaur set that's literally the horse head of our IP.
Dude, that's a free idea, Valve. If you're watching this, just get. We can supply you with our logo. Just make that into a mask that goes over the current centaur, and I would spend a lot of money for that. And I'm sure our fans would do the same. We don't even need the percentage. Just seeing the horse head alone is satisfaction enough. So we're more than on track to beat last year, which is no big surprise considering all the stuff that is in the Battle Pass right now and everything being catered to, incentivize more spending than previous years. So what number did we end up on? I actually wish I wrote that down. I think mine was like 40 something.
Oh, I can't remember what I predicted either.
I have to go back.
But yeah, like realistically, Wind Ranger will probably cost a spike if they make that very well. If Treasure 2 is anything to go by, Treasure 3 will probably just continue the trajectory. And then Pudge Persona is a big question mark for me. Like, I have no idea how good that's going to be and how much people are going to like it. And what people are going to expect, because a lot of people felt let down by the Anti-Mage one. So I don't know if they're going to go above and beyond with the Pudge one to kind of try to compensate for that, or like take the feedback, it was still polarized, like we talked about on our podcast, I think episode 60 or whatever, or 61. I thought it was all right. I didn't mind it too much, but a lot of people thought it was meh, including you. So I don't know what the fractions are.
I have come to realize that my tastes are not of the majority. And this is more evident, just to go on a little tangent, with Valorant, where I hate like basically every skin they've ever made, okay? Except for one, which I did purchase because I play the game so much, and it's a dragon skin. It turns your gun into a living dragon that has all these cool animations. People absolutely hated it. And then the immediate successor to that is like this samurai Japanese-inspired skin that I think is the literal ugliest thing I've ever seen in a game before, that everyone seems to love beyond belief. So I concede that I am not of the majority. I prefer dragons.
Maybe you're just in the wrong age group, because it's a lot of overlap with League of Legends, and dragons are
serious.
Dragons are for fine connoisseurs of history. Yes. Whereas samurais are what people are used to having in games such as Fortnite, where you just have no, you don't have a sword though. I don't know where I'm going with this. I don't know what the I wonder actually. You know what? This is an interesting thing. I wonder what the average age of players is between comparing League of Legends, Valorant, and CS:GO. Because like my guess would be it's in between League and CS:GO, right? But yes, which end of the scale is it? Do you think? Is it like a younger or an older player base? I think it's probably to the older side.
Yeah, slightly to the older,
but overlap with people, right?
I've definitely noticed a lot of 10-year-olds in games.
Okay.
And I'm always very nice to them on the microphones because I know they're...
Are you basing that off how many people have the samurai sword and just assigning them the age of 10?
No. Although there are a lot of the samurai sword guns in the game. Not going to lie.
Right.
But segueing from your Fortnite comment to Newbee, who of course were... involved in a lot of drama earlier. Was it this year or last? I don't know. Whenever it was. The Fortnite team is in a current drama right now. The org has been accused of match fixing in the CDA for Dota 2, which you guys know, leading to their essential disbanding. Yeah. And Newbee trapped their players in contracts and stole all Fortnite prize money since WC. Which one is that?
World Cup,
including two World Cup qualifiers. So this is over $100,000 stolen. What is going on with Newbee? They are just crashing and burning like none I've ever seen in esports. This is crazy.
I have to admit, like when it comes to Chinese orgs, I'm just really not in the know of what's going on there. So I don't know if there's like been some sort of new ownership or transfer of responsibilities or whatever, but something has definitely happened in the last months here where either the company got like super threatened on bottom line and just went anywhere they could to cut costs and basically scam their own players, or there's one guy that came in and just has really just messed up everything out of greed or whatever it is. I don't know which one it is, so I'm not gonna point fingers or say this and that person is responsible for everything. But the bottom line is it fucking sucks, because the people that got hurt the most, it's the players. They are the ones that suffer the big consequences, at least for now, right? Fortnite World Cup players that have earned a lot of money, especially in China, that just don't get paid for playing in the World Cup. Like, imagine that. And then this whole Dota 2 scandal as well. It's probably not out of nowhere, right? So absolutely, just.
I mean, there's definitely a connection there, and I would be interested in knowing like how these game devs or the tournament organizers look at things from other games, because obviously the Dota 2 one is one of the worst things that's happened in our scene for a team of that caliber. And now you have this on top of it. Is this something that you feel like, I don't know what other teams they have for what games, but it feels like this would be a global ban. Like if I was a game dev for another game and Team Newbee had
keep Newbee out
one of the teams, I would just instantly disqualify them forever.
I mean, I think that's just the safe play, right? At least until there's more. It's always tricky because people can throw these allegations at them, but if there's proof been posted already that players haven't been paid, and there's, I don't know exactly what the development has been in the Dota 2 case either, but like if it's at that point with this stuff, the safe play for any organizer is to not invite Newbee, not necessarily indefinitely ban the brand, but at least hold back on bringing them to any tournaments until these like things are cleared, right? It's just there's too much to lose. But yeah, if Newbee's at this point, it's probably just just done, right?
Sounds like they're cutting their losses, like you were saying. Like they probably lost their last money.
Their last tweet, their last tweet was in February, so I think they've just stopped operating that as well. They used to tweet relatively actively. I think it was one of the pretty famous Twitter guys that worked for Newbee.
Yeah.
And I think he got fired, as how I remember it. And I guess they've just left it on ice. They're just not using that part of, so they're not really using their biggest portal to Western audience fans.
Imagine if they just start tweeting again as if nothing happened. Hey guys. Yeah. So yeah, that's the drama from Team Newbee, and just going into just general Chinese player drama, Cinder. And there was a big thread on Reddit yesterday that I figured I would put in here to talk about, because it's something that we don't talk enough about, because we don't really have access to the Chinese player drama and their lifestyles and whatnot. But apparently there's 3 pieces of drama that we can discuss. A couple of them are kind of short. So eHome, this one's going to sound weird out of context here, but apparently Team eHome went to eat at a hot pot place owned in part by Jing and Sylar. They found a bug in their food on 2 different occasions, so they refused to eat it and left. The restaurant apparently called the cops and then got review bombed. And this is like some big drama now in China. I'm not sure how this connects exactly, but this is just part of like the week that the China Dota scene has had. The second thing is Burning apparently has burned a lot of bridges. He sold a lot of the skins that fans gifted him. He was also criticized by Inflame after a match in a pub, I believe. And to my understanding, based on the translations, Inflame was doing it in a very careful and methodical, not in a flamey way necessarily, but Burning completely raged and said he would refuse to commentate any game with Inflame in it. And he obviously cursed him out, and it blew up into something big. And even though Burning was the most beloved player, people are starting to turn on him. And he he later sent a gift to Inflame on his stream in Dota and apologized to the fans, but not to Inflame himself. So I guess Burning, and this is the thing to understand. I don't even fully understand it. Maybe you understand a little bit better than me, but like the Dota streamers there, the Dota players are so beyond celebrities. It's crazy. Like it's not even remotely close to anything else that Dota has right now. They are huge. And
China
Burning was
big.
The most popular for the longest time. And it sounds like he's kind of fallen from grace to some respect. And then we'll just wrap it up with this last one, then you can give your thoughts. But Zhao 8, I'm just going to read this specific entire thing that this guy posted. Yesterday, some fan posted a screenshot of Zhao 8's wife's private social media post. She said that her parents-in-law didn't allow her to take her son back to Shanghai, and she already called the police. She also included a picture of one black eye. Earlier today, Zhao 8 started the stream crying. He said that he and his wife had an argument some time ago, but nothing too serious. At the end, Zhao 8 suggested that they stop seeing each other for a few days to cool down, and he will send their 3-year-old son to their parents. However, his wife suddenly went to his parents' place and created a big scene. There were conflicts, but not physical. On stream, Zhao 8 said he's very tired of the marriage and wants a divorce. The chat keeps asking him not to make an emotional decision and should consider his son's well-being as well. Zhao 8 replied that he understands the concern, but he's very clear about this decision. The rift is not about this one incident. Their values just do not match. This is a big shock to most fans, as Zhao 8's wife used to appear on his stream quite a bit, and they looked perfectly happy. After his second wedding, a running joke in this stream is to wish Zhao 8 having an even better wedding next time. Zhao 8 and his wife would laugh at the joke together as well. Unfortunately, it looks like the joke is becoming a reality. So that is the drama. Any of these you want to talk about in specific?
Well, there was one thing that stood out to me in this one, right? Obviously, I mean, every time something like this happens to anyone, whether it doesn't need to be anyone famous, it's obviously sad, right? Like when things just don't work out for whatever reason and you've built kind of a life together and things just stop matching. So that's obviously super shit for him and for his wife. I found it interesting, this like, I don't know if this is more of a Chinese perspective where they're like, so correct me if I'm wrong with how I'm reading this, but it sounds like don't make an emotional decision about leaving your wife if it affects your kid a lot. Like, isn't that exactly the kind of reason that you leave a relationship for? Is because you don't match emotionally and it's draining you. Like, sometimes you can't just use logic for stuff like this and be like, yeah, but it's good for my kid, so I'm going to tough it out. Even though we don't mesh well together, my wife and I, for the next 10 years, we're just going to handle it for our kids' sake. I feel like that's kind of, I don't know. Is it weird to say that that's like a kind of, at least for me, it's like a more old-fashioned way of thinking about it?
Where, it's very common, though. But I agree that it's of course, every instance is going to be different. But in most cases, if you're that unhappy together, it's probably worse for the kid to live through that.
I mean, I would definitely say from my perspective of how I understand at least how things are in Denmark with stuff like this, if people don't work together, they don't. And it sucks that it affects the child, but it's probably going to be better than if you force a relationship for your child's sake, where the child will then grow up with parents that hate each other. Like, I don't see that as being better in any way. But I just found that interesting because that kind of stood out to me as something that I wouldn't expect to be something that the fans requested. Like, I don't like thinking. Imagine if a Western player and his girlfriend or wife and their child, if this happened in the West and it got public, do you think these posts would be like that? I don't know.
If both of them were public figures, maybe. I mean, that's the thing, right?
Yeah, perhaps.
To my understanding, these players, like, they stream a lot, and their personal lives are out there a lot more than what we're used to. I mean, I believe, I could be wrong. I think Zhao 8's first wife he met on a TV show, right, or something strange.
I think that one was. I think they were already dating when they made the TV show. I mean, it's obviously a lot of the times it's super scripted, right? I think they already dated and then they did the TV show. That's what I heard anyway.
Okay.
But the second thing about this, and then I'll just leave it at that, was this is another example of something we talked about in a previous episode where, you know, people only see what they see. They don't see the whole truth. And people are like, wow, this is really surprising. They look so happy together on stream. Well, you're not going to go on stream and throw a fit and create drama. So when they show up on stream together, of course, they're going to seem happy and have a good time and enjoy it, right? If you're angry at each other, you're not going to go stream. So again, people can very easily make assumptions about what people are truly like or who they are and how their relationships are. Fact of the matter is, you don't know. So this is just another example of that where, wow, they looked so happy together. What happened? Like, they could have been unhappy for a long time, but just had like good spurts or good moments where they stream, and their relationship, for all that we know, could be going down the drain for half a year and nobody knows outside of them. And that's how it should be. That's their personal and private lives. So
yeah, I think that it is common to, I mean, I can't blame people for thinking that, right? Because that's all they have access to. And I mean, like you said, you're not going to turn on your stream and say, God, I fucking hate my wife. Jesus Christ. Like, I mean, maybe it would be entertaining, but it wouldn't help your relationship out.
No.
But yeah, so that's the drama of the Chinese scene. Obviously, every scene has their drama. The hot pot one I found particularly hilarious, especially
pretty funny
when combined with these two other stories that are a little bit more serious. But yeah, that's what we have this week. Okay, so next thing on the list, Cinderin. I believe Starcraft 2 has had its 10th anniversary, and you have some things to discuss. Bring it.
So we usually don't really talk about Starcraft, but there was one patch. This got pitched to me by somebody who very religiously watches our podcast. And I thought it's actually kind of interesting to just think about at least what the perspective is here. So what they've basically done is in the public test release patch of July 14th, so it's 2 weeks ago now, they updated the map editor a lot. And basically what they've done is that they've made all the assets from Warcraft 3 available in Starcraft 2. So there's like a lot of new ways of programming custom maps into Starcraft that supposedly should basically make you able to make custom games like in Warcraft, just in the Starcraft 2 engine. And the reason I want to talk about this is that I'm trying to understand from a company standpoint, why do you do this, and why do you do it now? Like, do you finally realize we've missed an opportunity with this map editor stuff? The best map editor we have is Warcraft 3. We want to put a lot of the things that people loved about custom games into Starcraft, because in Starcraft 2, custom games just never took off in the same way as they did in Warcraft. Did it take them 10 years to realize that the assets were what was missing? Or like, I'm just trying to understand, like, and get your perspective on this, because I just don't know, like, is this just somebody who got hired by Blizzard and is doing this as like a project to show skill, or it's just really weird.
I think from their perspective, this is just speculation, just from like a business side of things. It's hard to monetize.
Well, what's in it
like
for
this,
them,
right? Well, at this point, it's maybe just more of a test bed to see if this is something they should do in the future. For
imagine
like,
it Warcraft 10 years
4
ago,
comes
right?
out. Well, sure, in theory. I mean, this is the thing. Blizzard has made so many bad decisions. Like, we talk a lot of shit about Blizzard, and it's warranted. But the fact of the matter is, they're a big reason why a lot of us got into gaming to begin with. They were like the literal gods back in the day. And a big part of that was because there were so many great mods that the community made off of their engine. So yeah, why they didn't do this earlier, I have no idea. Why they never picked up Dota? Like, that's the biggest question mark of all time in gaming, in my opinion. Like, why would you not take one of the most popular mods of all time on your own
in your game?
Why would you let Valve take it? I mean, I'm thankful because I genuinely think it came out better than anything Blizzard would have made, especially considering their track record as of late. But I think...
But Blizzard could have also made it years prior as well. True. Like, both Blizzard and Valve were kind of slow to pick up on the player base of that genre, right? I would say. So, like, I think you could see the trajectory of Warcraft 3 custom games and of Dota relatively early on, especially Dota, like the huge player base that it had across the world for like a couple of years. And Blizzard just didn't, I guess they just didn't think it was going to be worth it as a standalone game. Maybe, I mean, it's possible to have concerns like that, right? The game is free in one of your games. There's a custom mod. Can you take and monetize that without causing outrage? Like, in some perspectives, you know, these other companies that invested a lot of resources into making a standalone game took a relatively big risk, right? Like, maybe people only liked it as a custom game in Warcraft 3. Maybe people would hate them for trying to monetize a game that they have for free. Maybe they couldn't reinvent the game enough on their own to make it feel like a standalone game was warranted, you know, whatever it was. I feel
like if somebody makes a successful mod, and we've seen this so many times before, the devs can just offer them jobs, and most of the time they take it.
Yeah.
I mean, look at Counter-Strike, look at Team Fortress, look at I mean, Dota, in theory. I mean, IceFrog went to Han for a while and tried his own thing, and then Valve offered him a job, and he jumped ship. Like, it's not like they're asking for the world. I mean, maybe IceFrog was asking for a little bit more creative freedom. I have no idea.
Probably, yeah.
But, I mean, I think history will show that that is more than warranted based on what he's been able to do. Yep. So this feels more... I don't know if it's a last-ditch effort. It's one of two things, right? Because for me, and I know StarCraft 2 hasn't been as big of a failure as I kind of have said in the past, but I've always looked at it that way because Brood War was so good, and StarCraft 2 just never even came close. In both execution and popularity and everything. Like they pave the way for esports, and they don't lead it by any stretch of the imagination now. Like not even remotely.
Do you
close.
think objectively StarCraft 2 was just a worse game, like in every aspect, or was it just the times that RTS were on the way down when StarCraft 2 came out?
I think. That's a tough question because it's been a long time since I played StarCraft 2. But I just remember a lot of stuff that they added I thought was unnecessary. Like I felt like they could have just copied Brood War and just put on a new engine. That's what I was hoping for because Brood War was a perfect game in so many ways. It just was limited by its game engine.
Right.
They just added too many new things. They tried to get greedy with the model, where they came out with 3 different games essentially. And yeah, you're right. RTS did go downhill, and maybe that would have happened anyway. There's no way to know. But hopefully they get some good data out of this, because that's really the biggest thing they're going to get. They're going to get some people to come in and create some cool mods, I'm sure. Maybe something will take off.
Oh, yeah, or will they, right? Because that's just what I'm thinking. Like, yeah, you're a guy who sees this now and you're like, too little, too late, right? This could have been cool 5 years ago, 10 years ago. Now I'm working on other stuff instead. I don't know. Like, I'm just, it's curious to me. It's so peculiar time. It's the timing that really throws me off about this. It feels so random. Unless they're going to make like some sort of contest where they're going to have a reward for the best map, and they're kind of trying to reignite custom games or something in their own games, which would be interesting then. But yeah, seems weird.
Well, we'll see. All right, next topic is the U.S. Army has halted their Twitch presence, Cinderin. And this is mostly due to negative backlash from both banning people who mentioned war crimes on the Twitch channel and for doing giveaways that led to recruitment pages. And I believe there's one of the politicians is trying to pass a law where the U.S. Army can't try to recruit people via video games and stuff like that. But for me, it's always kind of funny because there's so much criticism about how games have this, like a lot of these politicians just can't get over this fact that violent video games don't cause violence in real life, right? They just can't get away from the real facts.
Right.
And I find it very hypocritical and hilarious at the same time when those same people create video games that are violent, such as America's Army. Did you ever play that game, by the way?
No.
It was horrible. It was like super realistic, which made me come to appreciate the fantasy elements in games sometimes. But anyway, they make stuff like that to recruit people to literal video games via literal video games. What do you think of this whole? This is so random.
My biggest takeaway from this, honestly, like I don't really want to talk about this too much, but I remember this. I saw a tweet, and there's another tweet linked in this article. I think maybe it's happened twice. I remember seeing this tweet on Twitter and laughing my ass off that the U.S. Army was tweeting "ooh-woo" as a response to something. I thought that was so fucking hilarious and out of character that I couldn't stop laughing. I was like, that is gonna be one of the dumbest things I've seen. What's going on with that?
They're trying to keep up with the kids, They're trying to be hip.
Yeah, it really is that that classic image macro with how you doing, fellow kids, right? With the what's that actor's name again? Is it Steve Buscemi who has that
Buscemi
role where he Buscemi? Yeah, but it is that is his name, right? Steve Buscemi with the skateboard or whatever it is, and then the shirt that says metal band. Dude,
I believe
what is going on? Why is the U.S. Army tweeting "ooh-woo" and getting 30K? I mean, I'm not surprised they're getting a lot of likes on it because it's fucking hilarious. But wow, that is just so out of character. That is really funny. Yeah, I mean,
what do you think of the idea though of like any country, like forget about it being U.S. based, any country trying to recruit people via a Twitch channel? Do you think that's weird? Do you think that should be allowed? Does it matter? I find it weird, but I don't know how to feel about it at the same time,
I kind of think it's one of the things that the military will struggle with, at least based on Denmark, and I'm assuming in the US it's kind of going in the same direction, where going to the military is becoming less and less of a popular choice, where they kind of have to fight to get conscripts. I don't know if that's the right word. Get recruits for it. So from their perspective, it is a business, right? So you need to try to reach the right people. And if you're feeling like, okay, how can we advertise and market the military as something interesting? We need to hit the right age group and the right, it's a fact that there's way more men going into the military than women. So in theory, the demography is extremely good by hitting gaming, right? It's young men who might not have a longer education or might be in limbo between going to college and finishing high school, stuff like this.
Or going pro gamer.
Yeah. So, I mean, I think this is it's a super good target audience. So, like, as far as that goes, I think that's a great, like, choice for them to target that. The way they do it, though, I'm not so sure if the way is to kind of make their own esports team, which they did. There was, like, wasn't there one? Like a U.S. Army esports or whatever?
No idea.
And the way they do their Twitch presence, I'm not sure if the way they do it is right, but I think the target audience, there's nothing wrong with that, and trying to reach the people that you think would be interested, right? That's just, it's kind of good for both sides.
When are we going to see the armies of respective countries all own teams, and then they play each other in some competition?
And that's how we handle wars.
And then you show up with a U.S. general there, ready to coach his team to victory.
The U.S. declares war, and then it's in Call of Duty.
In Call of Duty.
They're playing over, instead of playing over $500,000, they're playing over $10 billion in oil. Yeah, that's the future.
Who gets this territory in this game of Dota?
I'm ready.
Okay, so next topic. Again, we got a lot of random ones today. The official Twitch sports channel has been released, Sindarin. This channel will act as a hub for fans to quickly find feature streams under the sports directory by simply using the extension to see what's live and what's coming up in the world of sports and wrestling across. I like how they say in the world of sports and wrestling across Twitch.
Guess wrestling is just not a sport.
I mean, is WWE a sport?
I mean, it's technically performance art, right?
Right.
Is a requirement for a sport is that it's competitive, right? There needs to be a winner and a loser in a sport. Right?
And it can't be rigged, I assume.
And in WWE, it's, or in wrestling in general, it is scripted. So I guess it can't qualify as a sport, right?
It says wrestling. So wrestling is different than WWE in theory.
That's true. Right? Regular wrestling is a competitive sport.
Right.
So, yeah, I don't know.
It's funny that they say sports and wrestling.
Yeah.
But anyway, what do you think of this? Pretty cool.
Yeah, the thing that I'm thinking is something that Twitch has done a lot over the last years is try different kinds of content and see how people interact with chat in it. And seeing how other things fly on Twitch, like whether they show, say, the whole Pokemon marathon or Bob Ross or these kind of things that used to air on TV. I think a lot of people really enjoy the experience with Twitch chat. So I think with sports, it could actually be super fun and become very popular. I wouldn't be surprised. I don't know how much they need to pay for the rights because obviously the sports channels really want the rights, the exclusive rights for their for the big tournaments and stuff.
Imagine these athletes reading the comments during the game. Like they go watch the broadcast. And like these racist comments constantly or whatever toxic Twitch chat usually brings to the table.
Yeah.
And it's a little different. Like you definitely have to get used to that kind of thing.
It's kind of coming full circle, though, because you remember, like, this is one of the classic arguments that people use when they're like, why do people watch video games? Why don't they, like, it's nothing like watching a sport. And then people are like, well, think of it this way. When you're in a stadium, people are just yelling and cheering for the favorite teams while they're watching. Like, it's loads of noise, loads of bullshit being thrown around. People are just having a good time watching the game. And on Twitch, it's kind of, to an extent, it's not the same experience, but it's kind of similar when you're watching a tournament and the fans are going wild and chat over whatever. Now it's like that, but it's just with the sport itself also on Twitch.
Right.
So, yeah, I honestly think this could be a hit. I really do. But the biggest question mark for me is how much is Twitch willing to pay? Because broadcast rights in sports are really fucking expensive. And obviously, I think exclusivity will still be a thing, right? So
yeah, I mean, I know they've done some NBA G League, I believe it's called now, on Twitch, and I was not offered a position, but somebody told me that I should apply to cast some of that. But it sounds really cool in theory, but it would only be cool if it's NBA for me, like people that I know, because I would know a lot about it. Like I know a shit ton. Not to toot my own horn, but if it's like G League, I don't know any of these players.
I would watch you. I would watch you cast basketball.
And the Phoenix Suns lose again. I'd be so into it, man. I'd have a lot of fun doing that shit for sure.
We suck.
Because the funny thing is, I'd be just like a Dota cast where I'd go off on rants about these guys that are suspended because they go to strip clubs. Like nobody talks about that during real.
You would be casting basketball, and you would be going off topic talking about Dota in basketball, just like you do in our podcast.
Boy,
you know, like
this Devin Booker sure is like Arteezy.
And then you'll be like, oh, there's like 5 to 10 people that are giving me positive comments, like, please talk about Dota every time you cast basketball, and then it's literal thousands saying, why the fuck are you talking about Dota? And then it's exactly like this podcast.
Yes. I appreciate every single one of you 5 people that says you like the NBA talk. Next thing, the Xbox Series X games showcase. All right, if Xbox
not renamed that yet.
Xbox Sex, I don't know how that hasn't caught on yet. Every time I say this, I get angry of how bad. Oh, it's so stupid. Anyway, they announced a lot of their games. The big ones for me, well, the first one I don't really care about, but I know a lot of people do, is Halo Infinite, which will be the spiritual reboot for the Halo series, which obviously is their big seller. And then the one I'm interested in, Cinderin, is Fable. Oh, one of the few RPGs that I've loved, along with Jade Empire back in the day.
You actually loved an RPG?
I love Fable.
Didn't like any of them. Wow.
Fable and Jade Empire. I don't know what it is about them. I just like them a lot. And there's
I've never
number.
played Fable, actually. So
really?
I can't tell you. Yeah, I've played a lot of different RPGs, both single player and online, but I've never played Fable.
Okay.
So you'd be the one talking about that. I can't contribute with anything on Fable.
Cinderin,
actually,
Fable is so good. Okay, the reason. Okay, this will
tell
be
me
interesting
why
for
it's
you.
good when you hate all RPGs.
All right, I can't tell you why I like it. I can tell you some reasons why I like it, but I can't tell you why I like it versus other RPGs, because Jade Empire doesn't have this aspect that I'm going to discuss, so I don't know why. But
okay,
first of all, this was made by the same guy originally, I don't know about now, named Peter Molyneux. This is based off memory. Do you know who that is?
Mm-hmm. No.
He made Black and White, your favorite game.
Well, that is a good game.
So again, like I was super hyped for Black and White, didn't like it in the end, but this guy has like some cool ideas. So Fable is really cool because your character becomes evil or good or somewhere in between based on stuff that you do. It was the first game to ever do that.
And
I always found that
very
really
Black and White like. Yeah, that's the same
so,
way that you train your animal.
Yeah, if you beat the shit out of your monkey, it's going to become evil and very angry. And if you caress it, it'll become a saint or whatever you want to call it. So yeah, Fable, I'm really excited for. And the cool thing is, based on what I've heard, I haven't actually confirmed this myself. I hope this is true. It's on PC as well, which is great because God knows I'm never going to own a product named Xbox Sex. Okay, that's not going to be allowed in the house. So I will be able to get it on PC, so I'm happy about that.
So this is a new Fable game, right? It's not a relaunch.
Right. Fable, and they don't have a number by it for some reason, but yes, it's new.
Okay. If that comes out on PC, like you said, that's probably a game I should check out. For sure.
Yes. Highly recommended. This next episode will be
there's been more than one Fable, right? There's been like 3 or something.
There's been several, yes.
I think I gifted one of... I'm pretty positive, actually. I gifted one of them to my girlfriend some years back, and she played it. So I do think we have one of the games in the house, but... So have you played all of them, or just the first one?
Just the first.
Okay. So you don't know if like the overall like progression has been worse per game or anything?
I think I played a little bit of the third, I want to say, but I never finished it for whatever reason.
Okay.
I was probably trying to go pro in Counter-Strike at that time, so I had a lot of things on my mind.
Oh, it's been that long?
No, I'm just kidding about that. Okay. That was when I was already washed up playing Source, probably.
Okay.
Anywho,
that sounds more like it.
Yeah, so when that comes out, I'm going to be very hyped for it. And last topic before we get to the mailbag, this one is as random as it gets, guys. There was a Ukraine hostage situation where 13 people were held hostage on a bus. All of them were freed and unharmed after I'm going to butcher this, Volodymyr Zelensky spoke by phone with the hostage taker and agreed to his demand to endorse a 2005 animal rights documentary, Earthlings, narrated by Hollywood actor Joaquin Phoenix. Cinderin, do you see the lengths at what people go to if you don't watch the movies they want you to watch? Okay? This is so random. Obviously, this is like it was an animal rights thing. There's not much else to say other than I just found this story completely random. I saw it on my feed and I literally couldn't. I thought it was The Onion, but it was real.
I mean, I think what is important to remember when you read this and you think it's funny is that it was a real hostage situation,
Yes,
and that
true.
is still terrorism. So,
yes.
like, whatever his goals were and how admirable they might be to draw attention to animal rights or whatever, you don't fucking do it by taking 13 people hostage. Okay, there's something wrong with this person, and it's like they should be punished like any hostage situation.
Of course.
Like, and I mean, sure, you can endorse this film or whatever. I mean, any president in their right mind would avoid putting people's lives at risk to do something so overall minuscule here as what this is. But like, guys, if you're trying to draw attention to a cause, don't do this. Do it in a good way, because the people that were part of this were probably fucking terrified, right? I mean, it's one thing that you're being taken hostage, but then when you find out you got taken hostage so that Earthlings can get some more attention, you know, it's really fucked up, man. Like,
it's literally unbelievable. I'll just say
it's actually unbelievable. It does sound like something fake.
And the fact that a president did, like, in the U.S., like, forget about politics and who's currently in office and all this. Any president would never have done this, no matter what. The U.S. strategy is you do not negotiate with terrorists. I don't know if that's actually what they do every time or if there's exceptions, but historically that's been the case. So it's just interesting to see. I think
negotiation is a lot of the time a really good way of going about it, because the people that have demands like that will, I mean, not at all an expert on this, but if you do something like this, it's a mental health issue, right? Kind of like in at least a lot of cases, if not the vast majority, this will be a person that just has mental health issues, and a lot of the time you can meet them somewhere and try to work it out, where if you go the hard route, they might just, you know, go the whole way, right, and start taking lives and whatnot. So it's like really, I think it's really delicate. I can't say, like, in movies, for example, when you depict hostage situations in movies with like trading and you get like one person at a time or whatever, like these kind of things for information. Like, I don't know at all how much root in reality that has with how you actually handle these situations, but it's a person at the other end, right? And that's, you know, it's something to think about, that you can usually reach people in some way. So I think negotiation can definitely be the right way a lot of the time, but let an expert do it.
All right, the last thing is the Patreon mailbag, which I will create out of thin air because we didn't get any interesting questions.
Oh, that's why the question's so bad. Okay.
Yeah, well, I figured this would be fitting because it is a 10-year anniversary.
Yeah.
Right now it just says, what's your favorite StarCraft memory? We can say Blizzard if you want to do that instead.
Okay.
For me, for StarCraft specifically, Brood War playing, I mean, I played it super casually. I loved Zerg. I loved BGH, which was kind of like easy mode in StarCraft. But I think maps like that really helped popularize the genre. Like the try-hard 1v1s, I think obviously they had their place and people took it very competitively. In terms of esports, it was the top of the game at that point. But maps like BGH, the casual side of things, really helped explode video games, in my opinion. And that was like when was that? Like middle school, high school for me. So a lot of good memories playing BGH back in the day.
I did not play StarCraft 1, actually.
Wow, you are a disgusting human being.
I never owned the game. And
everybody owned the game, Cinder. Everybody had a CD key legally.
Okay, listen, I think a big part of the reason I didn't own the game was that we did not get internet in my house until after Reign of Chaos came out. And I remember this because it was super exciting for me to visit my friend. I would bike to him. He lived like 4 kilometers away out in the middle of fucking nowhere. And I would bike to him to play War Chasers. This is one of my very fondest Warcraft memories because it was so new and exciting for me. I had been playing Warcraft 3 on my own at home without internet. So I played the campaign and I played like custom, just like the
spamming
66 bots map you could play or whatever. Yeah, exactly. I'd been playing that a lot. And then I went to my friend and I was like, wow, when we play together, this shit is so fucking cool. I remember how excited I was to go to his place to play War Chasers, which is a pretty basic, you know, little level up RPG or whatever, where you could play different like models and characters from Warcraft 3. And we would play that, and that's one of, I think, only 3 custom games that Blizzard released with Frozen Throne, I think. Or was it Reign of Chaos? Maybe Reign of Chaos. By the way, I got into that and I was super excited. And then when we got internet at home following that, I played so much online Warcraft 3, and I think my gateway drug, if you will, into Dota was actually Tides of Blood. I don't know if you remember that custom map.
Nope.
It was a Dota type game with like lane creeps and heroes that you could level up. Max level, I think, in that game was 18, and the games were probably something like 30 to 45 minutes or whatever, like Dota-ish. But it had a lot of cool hero concepts. And I remember playing a shitload of that with my friends. So, I mean, all of my fondest Blizzard memories are probably going to be from Warcraft 3, right? And World of Warcraft. Those are my top 3 games of all time. Both of those games are in there. So
it's funny because for work, I liked Brood War quite a bit on a casual level, and it's an RTS. But Warcraft 3, when it came out, I got it. I played a lot of it, but I never really liked it as much as Brood War. I didn't like the idea that you had fewer units, and they were just it was that much more important to move them back, micro them. Like, I know it sounds weird, but from a casual perspective, micro was more important in Warcraft than Starcraft. Like, if you're playing high-level Starcraft, obviously micro is going to be far more important than Warcraft. But you didn't have to micro on a casual level. But for Warcraft, it felt like you did, and I didn't like that aspect. So for Warcraft, I just got more into the mods, specifically
How did
Dota.
you think about the hero unit? Because I think that was one of the things that split people a bit when it came out, that they felt like that should be.
I liked the heroes. I didn't... Okay. They felt very tanky. Their abilities, if I remember right, were not like super powerful or anything like that. But yeah, we had a lot of good memories with that one. But obviously the custom games were where it's at for me. Warcraft 3 is like, I think, the best platform of all time for mods, easily. Yeah,
it was. That map editor was actually so crazy good for its time, right?
Dude, I made a couple maps. They were pretty bad, but they got high ratings on a lot of the websites, Cinderin.
Really?
Yes.
Why haven't you ever shown me that? That sounds like fun.
Because I don't know where to even find them anymore.
Oh.
But yeah, they were cool. I mean, there was such a... Like, the map editor itself was so easy to use, too. Like, I didn't know shit. I make some kind of cool maps. As long as you don't have to get, like, those crazy triggers and you have to know all that crazy shit.
I remember trying to make a tower defense with my friend, and we actually got somewhat far, and then we just stopped completely out of nowhere. Just lost interest, I guess. It was pretty scuffed, I'll be honest. But yeah, we were working on one at the time. I think we would have been in 9th grade, so we were probably 14 or something. And if two 14-year-olds with no programming experience can make a custom map, it says something about, the functionality that it has.
Yep, for sure.
So that was very good.
All right. Well, that brings this episode to an end. I believe we didn't even talk about the Immortal Treasure at all. Too late, but did you like it?
Immortal Treasure 2?
Yeah. Did we talk about it? I don't think so, because that was
last... I don't know why in my mind Immortal Treasure 2 we had already talked about. It's only Immortal Treasure 1 we've talked about, huh?
Right.
That will be next week.
Nah, that's not interesting at all. I made a video.
We can spend another 1.5 hours rating the sets with visuals. That was great.
People love that episode. That was our highest rated of all time. Did you like it or not? How about that?
The chest review?
Yeah. People hated it.
I genuinely can't tell if you're being serious. If
people
loved that, we should do it.
No. People hated it. I was being sarcastic.
Oh, they hated it.
They actually hated it. Yeah. We got a lot of terrible comments about it.
Well, then either way, when it's that polarized, I think we should give it its own episode regardless. All right. It's a lot of attention, right? So that's great. No. Overall, good chest. It's so hard to just summarize something like that in like 2 minutes on the spot, but I think I gave it pretty consistently.
How about this? I'll give my rating because I already did a video on it. You
just for the chest in its entirety, without giving details. Just rate the chest. Okay.
So I didn't give a rating to the original Immortals because I didn't think of this really fascinating idea of doing a horsehead rating. But if I did, it would be 3 out of 5. I thought it was a very average Immortals, which doesn't mean it's bad, but we're comparing it to other Immortals that have come out. This one I gave a 4 out of 5. I thought it was quite good. The rares, which I don't know how much you put that into your rating or whatever, but the Ursa specifically was extremely good, obviously. One of maybe the best of all time. I think some people did not like it, though, so that might be a bit of a different opinion than some people are used to. But based on what I'm looking at in the chest now, the fact that there were so many ultimates that got changed, I thought was huge. You had Sven, you had Magnus, and Slardar.
Yeah.
All very obvious effects. I thought Slardar's was really good. And Jakiro, although that was a rare, I believe.
Yeah, that's a rare.
And then a hero like Troll, where typically his effects aren't very noticeable compared to a lot of the crazy effects in the game. He finally got some love. So I thought this was a really good Immortals chest.
Yeah, it's good. I agree. It's 4 out of 5. If we do it from 1 to 5, it's a 4 out of 5. And I think what it takes to make it 5 out of 5, I don't know. I think the Ursa Ultra Rare is really cool and cute. It's definitely,
and it changes his taunt. That's so cool that they did that.
Yeah, that's like the least important thing, Shannon.
Dude, that is so cool. So cool. They added thimbles to
I
him. Like
never
super
use
good.
It's kind of a cool idea, though. I agree with that. It's cool that they go like a little bit of an extra way to make that more engaging and fun. But yeah, I think a couple of the non-rares could have been a bit better. I think all of the rares are actually really good. I like the Slaughter one. I really like the Jakiro one, which is just a rare, not even a very rare. The Jakiro one is really cool. But a couple of the lower ones could have been a bit better. I think the Sven one doesn't really impress me too much. But overall, it's definitely good quality. But to get it a 5 out of 5, some of the more common ones needed to be bumped up a little bit.
So the thing I will criticize, and even though you said you liked it, I think the regular Slardar effect is better than the golden, personally.
Yeah, I think there's a couple of those, right, in general.
Right, but I think the biggest criticism that people have had is the Jakiro item does not work. It's the same slot as the one that was in the collector's cache with the lava coming out of the back.
True.
Where it doesn't have to be if they just separate it into 2 slots, which I think does make sense to have like a back slot and a wing slot. But right now you can't use both, I believe. So
that's a very good point.
Yeah. Is the unfortunate part. So, okay, that brings this episode to an actual end now. Cinderin, have you seen in Bruges?
Not yet, Shannon. I will watch it. Wait, I've never said that before, have I? I will think about watching it. Okay. I'm not going to make promises like that because I hate not delivering on promises. So, but I will definitely think about it, and I have. I promise you, I have thought about watching it, and I will continue to do so until I have watched it.
I feel like that it makes it worse that you've thought about it so much and still haven't done it. You know, but
I'll keep thinking.
That's okay. All right, everybody. Thank you so much for watching. Until next time, Suns fan Cinderin signing out.
I did this whole episode without socks. Okay, bye.
Goodbye. We say things that don't mean anything, but thanks for listening. Yeah.